Hello, my name is Martin Harman. I'm a British artist based in the UK. I create original one-off dreamlike abstract ceramic sculpture and 2D artworks.
I'm such a big coffee fan, and so I like to prepare a nice fresh cup of coffee first thing in the morning to help me start the day for creating art and all things art. And I'm using my Bubbleware mugs that have been thrown on the potter's wheel.
So recently I was thinking, what is abstract art? I mean, it's such a kind of broad term, and I think, as an artist, it can take on kind of many meanings, and it can mean, many different things for different people, and it can cross over into different kind of areas. But I thought I'd show you like an example of like an artist that inspired me and got me thinking about abstract art, and his name is Ron Nagel, and he works with clay to create these small ceramic sculptures. And what's interesting about his work is that it kind of crosses over between sculpture and painting because of the way he applies colour onto the 3D form to make it look as though it's almost like a 2D artwork. So I find his work interesting because there's no image in there that represents something that's easy to recognize. So the viewer is left to bring their own imagination to it. So for me, it has that abstract quality to it because I'm having to imagine and create my own interpretation or my own way of seeing it. And so that's abstract art for me, really, is just leaving questions for the viewer. Yeah, so you can find Ron Nagel's work in this book called The Pot Book. You can probably pick this up anywhere, local bookshop or Amazon. It's pretty interesting. It all focuses on ceramics, but obviously I think the name and the title suggests that everything in this book is about pottery, and I think that's the interesting thing with clay or creating artworks or sculpture from clay, is that it has that kind of tradition attached to it, where you'll see something like this and people will question, oh, is it a pot to kind of put flowers in there, because it has that reference to tableware, or that tradition related to clay. So that's one interesting thing about clay, is that it can kind of cross over with functional tableware pieces. But anyway, check out the book if you're interested. This is one of my sculptures. I also focus on making ceramic sculpture, and this is from a series of different pieces I do. I create, sometimes I create these open forms. Yeah, so this piece has been made from cones that have been thrown on the potter's wheel, cut up and joined together to create this open form. And I do that a lot with these kind of sculptural pieces because I like to have them sit down on the surface and to draw the eye to the inside and outside space, and then using colour then to break up the inside space and the outside space. Yeah, and this one's called Follow the Line, and I gave it this title because obviously it's got this kind of line running around the piece, and I felt when I was looking at it that my eyes were drawn to follow the line. so I called it Follow the Line. So these are some other open ceramic sculptures that relate to that series, and again it's using forms that have been thrown on the potter's wheel, again like cones that you cut up, joined together to create these open spaces, or these spaces that let the eye, that draw the eye to the inside and outside space, and then using colour to break up the form. Yeah, so this piece I titled Candy, and I gave it this title because it has this kind of sweet look to it because of the red running into the pink with these dots. So yeah, it has this kind of sweet appeal to it, and I sometimes do that when I'm titling my work. I just give it a title based upon how it makes me feel, because they're all abstract, they're all open for people to create their own meaning from it. I pretty much look at the work, look at the finished artwork, and think to myself, oh, what does that kind of get me thinking about, or what does it remind me of? Yeah, and then this one's called Stars in the Night, because again it reminded me of the night sky and seeing stars. so again it's like when I finish making artworks, I then think about, oh, what does it remind me of, and then create a title to match that. But again, this is quite an interesting piece, and because it can be displayed in different ways, so you can put it on its side, and that's another thing I like about creating these kind of open sculptures, is that you can position them in different ways, and so it's very much up to the viewer to decide how they want to see it and how they want to interact with it. And again, it goes back to this idea of just like, what is abstract art? Because for me, it's very open. It's very much about people's imagination and providing new ways of seeing and experiencing. Yeah. So anyway, that's my interpretation of what abstract art means for me. And for me, I like working with abstract art because I like to create artworks that's for the viewer to interpret it in their own way and to create their own meaning from it. And so for me, that's the power of abstract art. But what does abstract art mean for you? How does abstract art make you feel? What do you get from kind of looking at abstract art, or is there any particular abstract art you admire, any abstract artists you admire? Feel free to leave your comments down below, and as it'll be interesting to see what people think, because I guess the good thing is that we all have our own opinions. And so it's interesting to get a kind of perspective on that. Yeah, so anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.